and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. At their meeting on May 21st, the Bloomington City Council heard an ordinance to appropriate $10 million worth of food and beverage tax funds to the Monroe County Capital Improvement Board. Controller Jessica McClellan asked that the council not pass the appropriation ordinance, saying that the money is not actually needed for now.
We present this ordinance to you and ask that you do not pass this ordinance tonight. I would have liked to had pulled this from your agenda earlier, but I think that you do have to take a vote on it tonight. There was a discussion between myself and the controller of the CIB about kind of the timing of the bond funds and when the project was going to get started. And there was a combination of really not knowing how the bond proceeds were exactly going to work and when the project was going to start, and we thought we were going to need to have some cash on hand to start paying invoices sooner than we did. We do not need that cash on hand. The budget for the project does include using some food and beverage tax cash on hand, but that will be later in the project. We do have the bond funds, and the process has started to use those bond funds. We do not need this appropriation. I apologize for all the time that staff and council has put into this appropriation being on your agenda, and I appreciate your time and understanding. And I don't want to take up any more of your time tonight on this, but I can answer any questions that you have.
Councilmember Isak Asari asked for clarification on the money that the city owes to architect Schmidt Associates for work on the convention center. According to the city council packet, the money owed was $9.8 million. McClellan said that this was an error and that the amount was less than the $9.8 million presented.
There was 9.8 million mentioned, but then would be of an open PO, but they say that there were lesser amounts of POs that are publicly available. Can you just clarify the state of POs to Schmidt Associates?
Yeah, there's one open PO to Schmidt Associates. I don't know the balance of that PO off the top of my head. I think the balance as of like a month ago, I put in the fiscal statement that is open. It's part of the construction plan. It's part of the budget that the CIB has, how much that they are allowed, the amount that they're allowed to spend with Schmidt Associates is very clear in their budget. We have that number on our books. In the fiscal statement, it kind of states like, I wanted to be transparent to the council as to what the city's responsibilities are with the food and beverage tax funds. It is continuing to pay that Schmidt PO. We can also use bond funds to pay that Schmidt PO. We have to pay debt service, and we have to fund the debt service reserve fund. Those things are very spread out. We'll be collecting revenue every month from food and beverage tax funds, so those expenses will be covered when they come due. Yeah.
And would it be okay if I forward this residents' concerns to you?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then I can see, now that I've spoken with you and I kind of know how we're going to move forward.
Yep.
After your vote tonight, I'll know a little bit more about kind of how to respond to the residents about the final picture here.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
And I also apologize for the confusion that it caused to residents, and that you all have definitely heard from residents about that confusion. And I think that bringing this ordinance forward has caused some of that confusion. So I apologize to residents for that as well.
During public comment on the appropriations ordinance, local resident Kevin Kehoe pointed out that the original purchase order was in the amount of $4.1 million. He said that the city owes Schmidt Associates a little over $2 million and expressed concern over this discrepancy.
The amount that is in the fiscal impact statement is $9,847,184 as the open PO. And from 2019, and this is public information, the city signed a $4.1 million contract with Schmidt Associates. And my understanding, that was the open PO. And it should equate to 10% of the building cost, which, originally in 2019, I thought it was around 42 million. I believe now it's close to 50 million. So even at the 10%, you're talking about $5 million should be the maximum for the Schmidt Associates architectural fee. And I've also been looking at the CIB, and they've said there's been expenditures made through the CIB, and it's through the city. And I really don't understand why the city is paying this through an open PO, but because I hope it gets into the soft cost of the project. So I just want to make sure that, yeah, that's going to get into when we talk about how much does this facility cost, that we include the architect's fee in that final amount. But what's been paid on and this for the CIB, there's been 9 payments, and I was only able to see 8 of the 9, but they list them, and I've already seen $2,033,000 of payments made to Schmidt for the architectural fees. So I'm very confused about this open PO amount of $9,847,000. And the key reason is, I would hope this isn't, there hasn't been, if there are changes, I would hope that the information about why have there been changes to this fee, because it seemed almost like double, which is, to me, is very concerning, because that's indicative of a cost overrun. And it's awfully early in the project to be dealing with that level of cost overrun. So that was my concern, and I'm still concerned, because even tonight I thought there would be more specific discussion about what the open PO amount is, and it seems to me that this would be very clear, especially the amount we're talking about. It's not a small amount. $5 million, at 10% of the total cost of the building, I think would be a significant, from an internal control standpoint, this would be the limit, and something you really want to make sure you don't exceed. So anyway, that was my concern, and it continues to be my concern.
Thank you for your comment. You've run out of time. Thank you.
Councilmember Dave Rollo asked if Controller McClellan would respond to Mr. Kehoe's comment, clarifying the numbers of the open purchase order. McClellan said that she does not have a comment and would need to check the numbers.
Yeah, I just wondered if does the controller have any comments on Mr. Keogh's concern about the open PO, clarifying the cost?
Councilor, need to check those numbers.
I'm not sure that the microphone's on anymore.
I don't have any comments. I apologize. I'll have to check those numbers.
Councilmember Asari responded to Mr. Kehoe's comment, saying that he wished the council and staff had noticed the discrepancy earlier.
Of course, we're not voting on this today. It's going to be removed from our agenda, but
We are voting on it today. We've been asked to vote it down.
Great. Okay, same thing. Yeah. So, but the point being, I think the underlying point here is the need for consistent and transparent communication with the public. I think something that all of us share. I think that the controller has spoken of frequently, and so as this comes back, I think we do have some time to answer those questions. So just thanking Mr. Kehoe for bringing this up to begin with, and I wish that some of us had noticed it earlier. So thank you.
Councilmember Isabel Piedmont Smith said that she's glad the controller asked the council to vote this initiative down.
Yes, I'm glad that Controller McClellan and the CIB are asking us to vote this down, because given the number of questions, I was prepared to vote no on it anyway. So I'm glad that we're all on the same page, and we do have some investigating to do before approving further funding from the food and beverage tax. Thank you.
The council voted 0-7 on the appropriations ordinance, striking it down unanimously. The Monroe County Public Library Board of Trustees met on May 22nd. During his monthly report, Library Director Greer Carson was asked by board member Kathy Lozer if the library had procedures in place in the event that ICE agents entered the building. Carson confirmed that procedures were indeed in place.
We've been meeting with building services staff, vital staff, and public services staff about this for a couple of months now. So we do have a set of internal procedures for how to handle such a situation. It's not that different from if local law enforcement were to arrive, with a couple of exceptions. And so Brian Leibacher and myself and Josh Wolf and a few others have gone through those with the security staff and public services staff so that everybody knows what to do in the event of an ICE visit.
Okay. Does the library take an active stance in providing information about know your rights to any of the patrons?
We provide information on how to get that,
Okay.
like we would any other resource. So we don't encourage one thing or another. We say, here's where you can go to find know your rights related
So you don't have handouts
information.
or cards or anything?
No,
Okay.
but staff are prepared to direct people to that info as they need it. Yeah.
Continuing to the action items, Carson explained that an error had been made regarding calculations to the pricing of non-resident subscription cards and requested an updated fee. It was unanimously approved.
For 2025, we actually miscalculated the appropriate fee for non-resident subscription cards. We originally sought approval to increase that fee from $65 to $80. This fee adjustment is based on previous year expenditures, and that adjustment was approved at December's meeting. However, in consultation with the state library, we understand that the annual fee should actually be $82 instead of $80. So we are asking to adjust this annual fee by $2 for 2025 in order to be in compliance with state library standards.
The next meeting of the Monroe County Public Library Board of Trustees will be held on June 18th. The Monroe County Community School Corporation Board of Trustees met on May 20th. This followed the announcement that the school corporation would eliminate 61 non-classroom jobs resulting from budget cuts after the passage of Senate Enrolled Act 1 at the State House. During public comment, Monroe County Education Association Board member-elect Eric Nolan expressed concerns about the budget cuts and the elimination of the non-classroom jobs.
My name is Eric Nolan, and I speak to you this evening in my role as MCEA board member-elect. A number of people are obviously very concerned with, budget concerns coming up. We were already concerned when the two-year strategy to, achieve balance was presented, and now we're looking at, a more dire circumstance when it comes to our budget next year. We recently, I think it was just made public that a number of positions have been set to be laid off already. And none of those are teaching positions, so I really can't speak directly to them, except that just as a fellow worker, my heart goes out to people who are being laid off because of this. Something that keeps coming up, and a number of members have talked to me about, and is reporting on the two-year strategy, specifically regarding administration compensation, and versus what we can find from the Indiana Gateway, where the school corporation reports, employee salaries to the state. And I myself just honestly, after school today, after I wrapped up grading, just decided to pull the data from that and sort it by administrator type, and then further sorted that by building level administrator. I noted that on the Indiana Gateway website, it shows that our total for building level administrators in 2022 is, I'm just going to summarize that, or abbreviate the numbers a little bit, but 5.5 million. In 2023, 5.9 million, and in 2024, 6.1 million. For central administration, and this includes both certified and non-certified central administration positions, in 2022, on the Gateway it reports just over 2 million. In 23, 2.5 million, and in 2024, 3.1 million. And so those totals add up to, administrator salaries being about 7.6 million, 8.5 million, and 9.3 million. When I look at the graphs regarding specifically administrator salary totals on the two-year strategy website, I'm seeing much smaller numbers reported for For instance, central administration positions are listed in 2022 as 647,982, 580 in 2022. I'm sorry, in 23, 583,000, and 24, 843,000. So there's a differences of more 2 million and then up to $3.5 million. And I don't know how to explain this when people ask me, and I would love some sort of explanation for this as we're looking at budget cuts, because it appears that administrative salaries have grown substantially in these last 3 years alone. Thank you.
Next, MCEA President Jenny Noble Kuchera brought up a petition urging the school corporation to adopt a policy that clarifies which positions would be eliminated.
Good evening, Vice President Cooperman, School Board of Trustees, and Dr. Winston. Thanks for having me here again this evening. I am the Monroe County Education Association president, and as such, I represent 558 members, all of whom have signed a petition. And the petition essentially is asking our school board to adopt a reduction in force policy given the current climate that we are living in. I have sent drafts to our school board in the hopes that it would become a topic of your conversation, because essentially what this boils down to is we are working with our administrators. We have fantastic conversations and discussions, and we are meeting to that end with clarity and transparency. However, it's not enough. What we're asking is you all, as our employers, to actually put into place a policy that will make it crystal clear who stays and who goes. If there is gray area, which there has proven to be in a court case, Elliott versus Madison, that's not going to bode well for any of us here in this room. So it is the last thing I want to ask for, and yet it is exactly what I'm asking for, and that is for all of you to discuss and adopt, hopefully, the draft that I sent you yesterday morning, because right now the Indiana Code, and I quote, says, any of the following items may be considered. Following that, we have things like content areas, additional content degrees and credit hours, performance categories, on and on and on. So without clarity and without transparency, it's going to be really difficult for us to move forward beyond our good conversations with administrators if there's no policy that everyone can follow and everyone knows is happening in a straightforward way. So please do us the courtesy of looking at that draft. It meets with Indiana Code. It is constitutional, so it won't provide any issues. And I thank you so much for that consideration. I hope it moves.
MCEA board member Angie Shelton also commented on the non-classroom layoffs, saying that these are important positions for the school system. She said that she disagrees with the school corporation's determination to lay off employees who do not make as much money as classroom employees.
I have several questions related to the two-year strategic plan that I'm hoping will be addressed in the presentation this evening. Well, related to that, I guess, as I learned this afternoon, right prior to the meeting in the personnel report, that 61 support staff positions were eliminated today. These are primarily lunchroom staff, custodians, and other support staff. These are, speaking as anyone who spent time in a school, really important positions. Having clean buildings and safe food that can be delivered to our kids in the amount of time they have so that they still have time to eat are important things. And so as, someone who's in the building, I feel for those positions. In addition, it doesn't seem like eliminating lowest paid positions is one of the most strategic ways to reduce costs. So I have some other ideas about ways that might be more effective. One of them would be offering retirement incentives to staff. We have a lot of high-paid staff, and as you know, MCCSC has pretty good salaries now. And we have a lot of people who would be willing to retire a few years early with any kind of incentive. And that would also then reduce the highest paid positions while retaining lower paid positions and younger teachers whose jobs are more critical probably for their families. Not that people closer to retirement aren't, but hopefully if you're close enough, you can afford to live a decent retirement. And that would also not just save more money, but improve morale. And a lot of people in the district, and I'm sure the school board as well in administration, this is a difficult situation. It's stressful on everyone. So giving people's options, I think, would reduce a lot of anxiety. And my third comment is just to echo Jenny's request that we have a clear and consistent RIF policy. By state law, if RIFs are done, and I know MCCSC has said they don't plan to do any this year, but by state law, they have to be done between May 1st and July 1st. And so the next board meeting is the end of June, which should things happen during the summer, and I'll just say I know people are afraid that they may lose their jobs, but it would be dependent on the school board to approve something that goes through discussion with MCCSC and MCEA. Thank you.
In her 2-year strategy update, Superintendent Dr. Markay Winston said that the school system hopes to save around $7 million per year through staff reductions and leaving vacant positions open.
The second area of our 2-year strategy is centralized position reduction. This means reductions in centralized services, programs, and staff to realize savings as much as possible outside of the classroom. Centrally, we have approximately 28.8 FTEs that have vacated as a result of natural attrition. We have an additional 53.3 FTEs that are as a result of position elimination and position reductions. We are very sensitive to the fact that those are individuals' livelihoods, and we don't take that lightly. We recognize also that many of those positions were initiated during COVID era, and we feel as if those positions can and should be eliminated at this particular point in time. Some of those are in the area of health services and custodial services. We have some additional centralized support staff positions that have been eliminated as well. There are support staffs from the main admin building. There are positions that have been eliminated from transportation, from technology, from food service. I'm trying to go by my memory now, as well as by, what am I forgetting? Building services.
The Monroe County Election Board held a public hearing at their meeting on May 19th. The hearing was the final opportunity for community members to give their input on the Vote Center Study Committee's report. Committee member Ami Gandhi said that the committee believes vote centers would help ensure fair and equal voting access in the county. Gandhi explained that the main purpose behind switching to a vote center model is to eliminate the confusion of having to find the right polling location.
I wanted to share a little bit of background, which was also discussed at previous election board meetings and the previous vote center related hearing. In our work as a vote center study committee that was bipartisan in nature, we heard from voters, we heard from community members. I'm a Monroe County voter myself, and we heard a lot of stories of confusion that voters had about determining where is my polling place, how can I exercise my right to vote. And that's particularly in some communities where if later in the day, because of someone's constraints that are on them, long work hours or long class hours, or a childcare or healthcare situation, if there's very limited time to go out there and vote in person and then having location confusion on top of that, it can lead to, and it has led to, unfortunately, in Monroe County, voters being turned away. If it's late in the day, by the time they realize they would have had to go to a different assigned polling place in order to be able to exercise their right to vote.
During public comment, County Commissioner Penny Githens expressed her support for vote centers and highlighted the fact that the majority of Indiana counties have already adopted vote centers.
I'm Penny Githens. I'm a Monroe County resident, and I'm one of the commissioners that in 2023 voted to support vote centers. I'm here to offer my support for implementing the vote centers here and increasing the number of early satellite voting locations. Like Ms. Wilson, I want to thank the Vote Center Study Committee for its work and providing a thoughtful and well-researched and concise report. It's significant to me that the committee voted 7-0 to approve this plan.
Democratic Chair John Fernandez shared why he is in support of moving to a vote center model.
Well, I think this report should be adopted. I think the vote center plan really is about accessibility, but it's also about efficiencies. It's kind of an antiquated system that we have today. Does it work okay? Yeah, it works okay, but it could be better.
Republican Chair Danny Shields shared why he is not in support of vote centers.
Well, I'm a seasoned veteran of the elections in Monroe County. My first one was 1972. I am a new member of this board. I take this position very seriously. Here are a few things that stand out to me about the report and the plan. First, let's be clear. We don't live in a pure democracy. Democracies don't last long because as soon as two people realize they can legally take someone else's property, it often leads to conflict and violence. We live in a representative republic where representatives are elected by the people of their district, whatever that district may be. I'm strongly in favor of minimizing taxes. Taxation for any reason is taking money from someone else who worked for it and using it for purposes they may not support. Property taxes, for example, are immoral and should be abolished. Spending taxpayer dollars for any reason should be carefully scrutinized. I've read the report of the committee, and I was there when the committee began. It is important to note that the committee was never entirely unbiased. They never considered whether vote centers are a good idea. They were always focused on getting them implemented. There are some good things in the report, such as the fact that electronic polling books are good if the electricity works. One thing the committee never asked is whether increasing voter turnout is the main goal or responsibility of the election board. For the record, it is not. The goal of the election board is to run fair, cost-effective, bipartisan elections for the government. It is the job of the political parties, civic groups, and educational organizations, among others, to drive voter turnout. If it were not, we would not have repetitive commercial season every year.
For the vote center report to be adopted, it needed a unanimous vote from the election board. The vote did not pass, with County Clerk Nicole Brown and Democratic Chair John Fernandez voting yes, and Republican Chair Danny Shields voting no. And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.